Do you have a mass of notes in your digital system and you can't find them? They're just everywhere. You don't know what they are. You don't remember where folder you put them in. Let's say you use a Google Drive or you use just your file system or you use another tool. But today we're going to talk about using Evernote as your information hub and work management system. In your information hub, you can set it up and organize it so that you can quickly find your notes. In this video, I'll share some techniques that I've learned to get that organization under control so that you know exactly where information is stored and you can quickly find it. There are a few parts of the Evernote system that help you do that, and understanding how Evernote handles names is going to be key. And I will be using version 10.120.3 of the software. And it's important to know which version because they're changing the program. When I say they are, Bending Spoons is changing the program very rapidly. So as the versions change, new features are available to us. So I want to make sure you know which version I am working with. Use this organization carries over to whichever client you use for mobile, web, and desktop. It carries over whether you're using Windows or Mac, iOS or Android. So it the organization is completely independent of the device and the operating system that you're on. It's all inside Evernote. So let's jump into it. Let's get to the computer and jump into it. So, the first thing is I want to say you're looking at the notebook view of Evernote. This is all of the notebooks that I have in this demo account at the very for a second. Right here at the very top, you'll see under word notebook, you'll see 37 notebooks. So this account has 37 notebooks in them, but you don't see a list of 37 notebooks, right? That's one of the organization keys. All information in Evernote is in a note. All notes are in a notebook. So that's why I'm starting with notebooks. That's the first level of organization that I want you to grasp and understand. So let me show you this little icon, this very first one that says inbox. There's a icon of a book, a notebook. That is the notebook. There's something I've done here, which is what causes it to be at the top of the list. I put a period. You almost can't see it, period, and then the word in space box. If I change that and rename it, I can change it and take the period out. I want to show you what happens. It shifts that notebook further down below the numbers. I want that notebook to be at the top. So I put a special character. Let me change the special character to an um, exclamation mark. So key one beyond the notebook is knowing how to name the notebook. Evernote prioritizes special characters, period, dash, exclamation mark, just special characters, the at symbol. Then it uses numbers 1 through 9, 1 through 9, and then it uses the alphabet A through Z or A through Z. So special characters, next is numbers 1 through 9, then A to Z. Those are the names, the way you can mix and match the names to get some of this organization. I just changed that special character from a period to an exclamation mark, and it bumped that notebook back up to the top. So let's go back to the screen. The other thing is I've got particular names. I'm going to open this up. You remember I said special characters, numbers, and names. So here I've got 4 notebooks, notebook 1 through 4, because I wanted them in this particular order. I also have a code, AGM colon, that has a meaning to me that tells me that everything in all of these notebooks is associated with that particular part of my life, AGM, and then a colon, and then the names of the notebook. coordination, plan, research, meeting. So I can break up the information that I have into these notebooks. Now, what happens if you should already know if I rename these and take the names out, take the numbers out, they're going to sort in a different way because I'm not forcing that sort into the order that I want it to be in, right? It's just see how it did it did meetings first, coordination, and it has to do with this sort options here. So I'm seeing sort by title, and then I can also group by type, but I don't want to do that. So sort by title also plays a part. So it flipped it, and I don't want meetings to be first. I want coordination to be first. That's why I had the number. I had it numbered 1 through 4. AGM, if I took that off, you notice this one doesn't have the colon. So if I go back and correct it and put the colon in here, it's going to move that below because C comes before M. CMPR. So it's sorting alphabetically. And that is using those names will help you get your information in a way. Now, it's just not for sorting, but it's also for the order and the sequence that you want to see those notes, your notebook. It's like your filing system. I just wanted, these are the names of my files, and I want them to be right together in a particular order. And that's the way I have it alphabetically by numbers. Now, that's your notebooks. You can take notebooks and put them together like I'm going to put them all on a shelf. That shelf is this stack, these 3 lines. It is called a notebook stack. I'm putting my notebooks stacked together on a shelf, and I'm going to name that shelf or that stack. The same rules apply. Evernote treats notebook stack names, special characters, numbers, alphabet. Special characters 1 through 9, A through Z. You see, I have mine numbered. Key, I use numbers a lot. Then I say, okay, if I'm using, for me, I'm using para for the most part, projects, so different projects, areas, different areas of my life. Task is an outlier, then resources and archives. This para, P-A-R-A, came from Tiago Forte. You can look up his information. You can also get a couple of his books. I'll throw those books on the Book Nook. You can grab them there. I'll talk about the Book Nook later. But projects, areas, resources, and archives. So that's that's the framework that I'm organizing within, and then within that, I'm making the stacks. So I've got multiple stacks here. You see, I've got this Evernote Simplified series. When that project is over, that stack will go away. Those notebooks will move to the archive. I won't lose it, but it's no longer in my active set of projects. That is how notebooks, notebook stacks. There's another level that Evernote has now introduced, and it's in beta. It's called spaces. Spaces. This column here says these notebooks are also in this Evernote Simplified project space. What's a space? Spaces are a grouping of notebooks and notes, and you don't have to, they can be in a stack or not in a stack. If I want to add another notebook that's not in this Evernote Simplified uh, project from some other part of my life into this stack, I could. So it allows you to mix notebooks up a little bit so you can streamline what you're seeing, but it gives you some other benefits. Again, this feature is in beta in this 10.120.3. They're still working out how you're going to delete stacks, but I can create stacks, I can name them. The same rules apply. Stacks, special characters, numbers 1 through 9, and A to Z. That framework is applicable to every type of content that you put into in terms of notes, notebooks, stacks, and other things. So I've got this stack for Evernote Simplified. I've got the notebooks in here. I've got this space. You see, the stack didn't carry over, but because I use a naming convention, it's sorted anyway. And it allows me to still get to, I don't want to see everything. I just want to see the information associated with this particular project. And now I can go to the individual notes within that. The other thing it allows me to do is say, what have I worked on in the last few minutes? What notes have I worked on most recently? And I can pin if I've got a whole bunch of notes, but I want to get to a couple of key notes quickly. I can pin those notes to the top of the stack. That's another organization key within spaces within Evernote. Let's move on. So you've got notebooks, notebook stacks, and spaces. How do you create a notebook? Well, if you're in the notebook view, you can click on New Notebook. So I've now created this new notebook. I didn't give it a number, I just created it. It's right here, it's empty. But how do I create a notebook stack? Go to the right, the overflow, add to stack. And let's say I'm going to add it to the Evernote simplified stack. But I don't know. Let's say I'm going to create a new stack. So this is my new stack. So now I've got a new stack called my new stack. In my new stack is my new notebook one. Let's say I want to put another notebook into that stack. Let's say I want to put this Take One Tech Academy is just an example in there. So I'm going to just grab it with the mouse and sit it on top of that stack name, and it's going to stick it in that stack. That's how you build up notebooks in a stack. But how do I get these notebooks in a space? Go to the overflow, click move, and you can pick the space that you want to put it in. Let's say I want to put this one in the content research space, and I want to put this one in the content research space. So now when I go back, I've got a stack, I've got two notebooks, I've got a stack, but I also have a space that has those two notebooks in it, but it has some other notebooks in it. Remember, I said you can have notebooks that are not in the same stack in a space. So I've got other notebooks in this space called content research. If I want to take them out, I can just say move, go to overflow, move, and remove from space. I don't want them in there anymore. Take them out. And now my space is back to the way it was. Okay? So those are notebooks, notebooks, notebook stacks, and spaces. Top level organization within Evernote. And the notebooks is particularly important because if you ever need to use your notes offline, either on your, particularly on your mobile phone, then it's on your mobile phone that you can take that notebook and say, give me this notebook just on this phone, and I have access to the content, whether I'm connected to the internet or not. So notebooks is really, really key for making sure you can get to your information in your information hub using Evernote platform. Let's move on to the next level of organization. I've talked about it, but I want to make sure I'm real clear. And the next one is naming conventions. Naming convention. Not only do you pay attention, let's go back to the screen. Do you pay attention to how you name your notebook, how you name your stack, how you name your spaces? You also pay attention to how you name your notes. So in my example, I use template in square brackets for every note that is a template. And because in this example, Evernote uses special characters first, the word template sorts before the ENS colon. If I want them to sort differently, I can use special characters, numbers, and then alphabet to get them to be in the sequence that I want. So, naming conventions, figuring out and determining what you want your names to be. And for me, I see ENS here. What you want your names to be would be a mind trigger for you to say, I know exactly what that is. I know exactly how to find it. It also helps you search. If I'm in this notebook and I don't want to see anything except Evernote Simplified, I can type the word Evernote and it filters out all of the other notebooks except the notebooks that have the word Evernote in the name of the notebook. If I want only to see notebooks that have the word template in it, I can type the word template and filter out. So that's a quick way. It helps you with your search. Searching, we'll talk about in detail later, but it helps you get to the information quickly to your notebooks and to your notes. I'm in the notebooks right now, right? So let's move on. There's another layer that you can use in searching or in naming, and that is something called shortcuts. I'm going to open up the sidebar at this point, and I've got shortcuts here. And when you're working on anything or something you're going to access regularly, you can put it in the shortcuts area. I've got this RFI index here, and it's a summary of different types of RFIs. So if I go here, this gets me to this note or set of notes quickly. I don't have to do search. I just go here, click RFI index, and I get to what I want to get to that notebook and those notes. But likewise, I've got the Evernote simplified space here in shortcuts. I've got notebooks here in the shortcut. So you can mix notebooks, notes, and spaces in shortcuts. What I will caution you, however, is avoid making that list in that shortcut super long. Keep it manageable. I'll say probably no more than 10 items in your shortcut so that you're replicating a long list. That's not going to do you any good. But those shortcuts helps you get to information quickly. The next area is tags. I've added tags in here, but tags is just that. It does the same thing as everything else. It sorts by it names by the naming convention. So you can create a tag and put it on a note. You see I've only got one note that's got a tag on it. So you can name the tags. You can also stack tags underneath, almost in like a folder structure, right? So if I do content, I want to know everything that's a blog, everything that's a newsletter, everything that's link you, everything that's YouTube. And then I've got another layer here. This is for example, because I would never do it this way. I'd have my stuff in notebooks. But you can have another level down here and said, okay, for YouTube, what's a live stream? What's a short? What's a video on demand? What's a YouTube community post? If I wanted to break it up this way, personally, I would use nomenclature in my note name to make those designations. And in fact, I do. My equipping you, which is my newsletter, and I had noticed I have it misspelled, but equipping you, my newsletter, has its own stack within my database in my account so that I know all of the information in there. The notes are associated with the newsletter, similar for the blog, similar for the YouTube channel specifically. And I haven't broken it out by live stream or short. Actually, I did. I've this year I've broken it out and I've got my live streams got one template, my shorts have a different template, my video on demand have a different template, and my YouTube community has a different template. And it's done by naming convention, but you can use tags. Now, how do you assign a tag? You can just create the tags in here by going be in tags. You can click the plus sign to the right of the word tag. You can have the tag panel up and you can click the plus sign up here where it says create new tag. You can also, within a note down at the bottom of the new note, you can add a tag. You can start typing. And if the words you're typing is in a tag, it will come up and you can just pick it. If you continue typing, it'll create the tag. One of the things that concerns me with tags, which is when I started experimenting with them, was I would end up with tags that were similar because I didn't remember. I was going too fast and I just didn't pay attention. Tags to me are messy and I don't really use them. But if you're a person and you want to be able to pull a bunch of notes together and it doesn't matter what notebook they're in or what space they're in, then tags is the way you do it. It removes that hierarchical layer that you have to be concerned with. So there is a place for them. It's just really using tags depends on how your mind works. And my mind works differently, but I wanted you to know that they exist. I'm not going to tell you that I use them because I really truly do not. That's the key. There is another layer that I want to get into as well, and then we're going to stop here. And that is pinning notes. Pinning notes, I'm going to go back to the computer. Pinning notes is there are two ways to do it, and they have different meanings. One is you can use reminders and you can pick a reminder, a no date reminder, and attach that reminder to a note. When you do that, you to pay attention to what's in here. Without that, you just see the word title here in the note list. I'm in the notebook, I'm in the note, and you see the notes, and you just see the title. When I add this non undated reminder, you see two things happen right above the word title: a notebook icon, and to the right of it, a bell icon. That bell icon filters out notes in the notebook that have a reminder on them, whether it's dated, timed, or no dated. I'm saying use the no dated time so you don't want reminders popping up. So it's a quick way to filter. If you have a notebook, let's say you have a notebook that has 300 notes in it, and there are about five that you need to use all the time, you can filter them by putting a non dated reminder on those notes, and they'll filter right into this little area where reminders are located. There's another way, however, that's the official pinning that's now been introduced. You can take a note and you can pi- pin the note in the overflow, pin the note to the notebook. What that does is forces that note to the very top of the notebook. It puts the yellow pen to the right of the note name, and you can see it. When you go to your notes list, if you scroll down, you'll see that yellow. See, it's way down here, which is why I don't like it. But if I go to I haven't even still found it. When I go to the pinned bell, the two notes that I have an undated reminder on are right there. So I don't have to look at all of this 111 notes looking for it. So that pin note is really good to pin it to the top of the notebook. It's excellent if you're in the notebook and you want to see it. But for me, using undated reminders for me to find something that's pinned and I want it's in a bunch it doesn't matter which notebook it's in, and I can get right to it. So, we have talked about multiple layers of organization today. We've talked about naming your notebooks and organizing the notebooks themselves, organizing notebooks into stacks, organizing notebooks and notes into spaces. We've talked about using naming convention to help you organize. And then we've talked about pinning your notes, particularly using undated reminders, putting a short list of important notes, notebooks, or stacks in shortcuts and using tags. You can mix all of these techniques up to have a truly organized information hub. So I just want to remind you this video is not sponsored by Bending Spoons, the owners of Evernote, nor am I an Evernote affiliate. I simply use this program every day, and I have been doing that since 2008. And I believe wholeheartedly that more people need to know about this powerful software and how it really can be the hub, your information hub and workflow management tool of choice. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel today and turn on notifications so that you get that notification when I drop more content, whether it's Evernote Simplified, this series that we're in now, or other content. Lastly, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and share your note-taking and organization struggles in the comment. Watch the video that's the algorithm is going to give you right next, and I'll see you in that next video.